Yo, what's going on guys? Evan Tanaka here, back with another video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to arrange your team to make a team look like this. That's not a very good looking team, but actually is a very good team once you rearrange some stuff. I'm going to show you guys a bunch of different examples of how you can rearrange your team to make your team as best as possible. If you guys are new here, I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe down below. I post 2 to 3 My Team videos every single day and give some of the best normally spend content, tips and tricks on the platform, as well as help videos like today's. Okay guys, so first team you guys should be able to see on the screen, we got Tyrese Maxey, we got Eric Snow, we got Robert Covington, Nicholas Batum, Kristaps Porzingis. A pretty good starting lineup, but what is the two big issues on this lineup? First issue, Eric Snow should not be at the shooting guard position. And you guys may be saying, like, if you know how to arrange your team, oh, well, I don't do that. That seems like a stupid mistake. A lot of people do make this mistake, and it's something that some people just don't know. All the examples I'm showing in this video, I have seen from people sending in their teams on I Rate Your Team series. If you guys don't know, I do an I Rate Your Team series where people send in their teams, how much MT they have, and they want me to improve it and rate it. And I see a bunch of teams constructed like this, and I'm like, man, that's a good team. It's constructed terribly, right? So the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out, do you want Eric Snow or do you want Derrick Rose as your backup point guard? For this example, we want Derrick Rose as our backup point guard. So we're going to get rid of Eric Snow, and all we're going to do is pick up a cheap shooting guard like Matisse Thybulle. A great shooting guard we can plug in here, and we're good to go there. Okay, so Robert Covington is a power forward, small forward. Batum is a power forward, small forward. But you're saying, okay, so it's fine. They both can play power forward, small forward. Why not have Rocco at the 3, and why not have Batum at the 4? But how the two plays is Rocco needs to be at the 4. He is a power forward player. That's how he plays, like a power forward. Batum you want at that small forward position because he's more of that wing that can score the ball, that can play better on ball defense, that type of stuff, right? Rocco is just there for defense and to shoot up in the corner. Batum is there as you want more as your wing to be able to score the ball and play a little bit more perimeter defense. You don't want Batum guarding their power forward. You want Rocco guarding their power forward. And then Porzingis is fine. So that lineup went from like a 6.5 out of 10 because it's barely usable to a team this is a solid 7.5 lineup, maybe even 8 out of 10 lineup. I think everyone on the starting lineup is a very, very, very good budget card. Like best budget point guard, probably best budget shooting guard, best budget small forward, best budget power forward, best budget center. Like literally, I'm gonna have to give that starting lineup like an 8 out of 10. It went from like a 6.5 to an 8 out of 10. So if you guys are making that mistake, you definitely need to change that right now. And on the bench, there's a couple mistakes. Now the first one is something you can do with your shooting guard and point guard. So you notice that D Rose isn't the best defender, and Donovan Mitchell is a good defender, but is only 6'1". So what you might want to do is put Donovan Mitchell to the starting lineup to help D Rose with a little bit of defense, right? Because you want to give D Rose, if you're running a D Rose, you want to have your shooting guard and small forward. Most of your shooting guard or small forward have really, really good defense. You want to lock with D Rose. You can't have all offensive players with D Rose. That's another thing that I'm going to be talking about, is just having a balanced lineup. You don't want to have too much offense and too much defense on a lineup. You want to have balance, but we'll talk about that a bit later. So what you might want to do is move Donovan Mitchell with Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey is only 6'2", but he has a pretty long wingspan and a pretty big body frame. So player build, he's going to be able to play some okay defense with his stats, and Donovan Mitchell's a great defender. And you have Batum and Robert Covington to give you that really solid wing defense to help Donovan Mitchell's only 6'1". And then off the bench, now you got Matisse Thybulle, who's 6'6" or 6'7", or no, 6'5", sorry. But he's a great long defender, the long arms, good wingspan, plays amazing defense, one of the best 3-and-D budget cards in the game to help pair alongside Rose. And that's another mistake people don't understand, because they're like, well, I want Matisse over here, right, to give my defense for this lineup. But no, you want Donovan Mitchell, because again, Donovan Mitchell will actually help this lineup out a bit more because he's going to give them a little bit of offense, because Batum can't really create for himself, Rocco can't create for himself, Tyrese Maxey can, but it's going to give you a little bit more offense, and it's going to balance that out as well. RJ Barrett isn't the small forward I would choose, but it's the small forward I picked for this video, so we're going to keep him in there. I would use Saddiq Bey, but this is not a who should be in what position. Sorry, it's not a who's better than who. It's just how to arrange a specific team in a certain way. So the next thing you guys should be able to point out is Serge Ibaka shouldn't play the power forward. And the amount of people have sent me in their teams and Serge Ibaka is at the 4 would surprise you. The amount of people that have sent me Serge Ibaka at the 4 on any lineup will surprise you how many times I've seen that. A quick fix, just get rid of Serge Ibaka and pick up LeBron James. That's all you have to do. Ruby LeBron James. You don't like Ruby LeBron James? Find a different budget power forward. I have a bunch of videos on budget power forwards and that type of stuff. You can pick up a Darius Miles. There's a bunch of different players you can pick up. You can pick up a Miles Bridges. There's a bunch of different players you can pick up. You can pick up Sadiq Bey and then move like Miles Bridges to the small forward. A bunch of stuff you can do. But that is the first team, guys, that I want to show you guys. There was a couple different mistakes in the team that honestly was like a 6 rating team at the start, and now I think I have to give this team a 7.5, maybe even an 8 out of 10 overall. So that's something you can definitely improve on. So if you guys watch this first team, look at your team compared to this team and see if there's any mistakes you're doing wrong. But now I'm going to talk about the last team we're going to look at, which is my team, and tell you guys what I do to make my team as best as possible. So the team you guys see on the screen is a version of the team I run. It has all the players that I run, but not in the certain order or it's not in the same positions that I do. And I'm going to point them out right now. So first thing I want to point out is look how heavy my first lineup is. And what I mean by that, we have all our firepower on one line, which seems amazing, right? Oh, let's have our best players on one line. Let's get off to a great start and go up by 20 or 10 or 15 points, and then hopefully our bench can just carry us. Now, maybe that works in Unlimited when you're playing against guys who aren't the best, but once you play in a competitive scene or you're playing against a good player in Unlimited, this strategy is not going to work at all, because their bench is going to come in and torch yours because of what I'm about to tell you right now. Is this exact Klay Thompson and Donovan Mitchell setup. So, Gary Payton 6'4", Isaiah Thomas 6'1". Gary Payton, really great defender, has long arms, he's in passing lanes, that type of stuff. He's a great defender, he can hold his own in a pick and roll, he can hold his own on ball. Isaiah Thomas can hold himself on ball, but can he hold himself in a pick and roll? No, because Donovan Mitchell is 6'1", and Isaiah Thomas is 6'1". You cannot, if you have Isaiah Thomas and Donovan Mitchell, who are really good not budget, but really like second best point guard in the game, and I think second best shooting guard in the game, these two right here. I literally think I have the best point guard in the game, second best point guard in the game, best shooting guard in the game, and second best small shooting guard in the game. You can disagree if you want, but that's my take. So you're thinking, oh, well, I got the 2 best here, and then the second best right there. Oh, I'm perfect, I'm good to go. But no, you cannot have Donovan Mitchell and Isaiah Thomas. And a lot of people are calling me crazy for running Klay Thompson off the bench. But if I want to start Klay Thompson, that means I have to start Isaiah Thomas, and I'm just not willing to do that. But what I've noticed from playing with Klay Thompson off the bench is I actually do really like having Klay come off my bench, because I do a different strategy where Klay comes off my bench, and now if you guys have a weaker bench, Klay is going to torch you, and Klay just comes off the bench. He just brings so much firepower. If I'm down by a little bit, if the game's tied, if the game's close, I'm up by 2, Klay just extends that lead, and then when he comes out, I trust my starters. I'm really good with Donovan Mitchell. I trust my Melo. I don't have Dolph here, but I trust my starting lineup to get the job done, right? So my actual lineup, again, talking back about my top heavy lineup, I'll show you guys my lineup is right now. We put Melo to the 4, and we move AK up here, right? Now if I explain to the balancing aspect right here. So now we look at the starting lineup. We got Gary Payton, obviously. Again, everyone in my lineup I think is really, really good. But, right, we have our 2 locks. We have Kawhi Leonard and we have Kirilenko. Before, we had them on the same line. That's not a good thing. We got our 2 stretch bigs, right? Dolph's a little bit more of a center, but they're the same height, to be honest, and they play the same exact role. They play pretty good defense. They can block shots. They rebound the basketball. Dolph a little bit better than Melo, but Melo can rebound the ball pretty well. And they both stretch that can shoot really well. They both have really nice releases, right? So we got 2 of them there. We got our 2 locks. We got our 2 ball scorers. We got Klay and Don Mitchell, the 2 people I run my offense through, right? So now they're on different lines, and we have Isaiah Thomas and Gary Payton, who basically are like clones of each other. Gary Payton obviously a lot better, in my opinion, but they do play sort of the same way. They both have really good defense, really good offense. Gary Payton's a lot better defender, but I'd say Isaiah Thomas is a little bit better rim runner, right? So it just depends what you want. And then at the center position, we have our 2 centers. Your centers are never really out of position because they can only play center. So it's like you can't really even have them at power forward. But now our lineup is more balanced out, right? So now we're going to have an even playing field in each lineup, and I like both of these lineups very well. We have on the bench, we have our point guard, who's a great defender. He can score the ball really well if we need to, and we have Klay Thompson, right? Obviously just going to go against a bucket, but also can play really good defense. We have our lock that we put on ball. We have Dolph Schayes and we have Dikembe Mutombo, right? 2 really good power forward and center combo, right? You don't want to run, you can't run D-Rob and Mutombo. I mean, you might want to run that, but I wouldn't run KG with Dikembe because I want a little bit more shooting. If I'm running KG, it's going to be with David Robinson, or he's going to be at the center position, right? To give him a little bit more shooting help, right? So this lineup is a lot more balanced. We're going to have a really good chance with our starting lineup with having AK on ball. Donovan Mitchell's our starting, is our ball carrier, guy who scores for me. Gary Payne's another lockdown defender that's going to score the ball pretty well, but also just going to lock down their second best player. And then we have Melo, who obviously we all know what Melo can do. Great shooter, rebound the ball, help get rebounds. But also that's why he's playing with Dave Robinson, because he's out of our 4 power forward center, he is the worst rebounder, so we want to put him with our best rebounder. I know Dikembe is probably our best rebounder, but I would say David Robinson's just as good as a rebounder as Dikembe probably a little bit better, but we want a little bit more shooting, again, with Dolph Shays to help us out with Dikembe Mutombo, right? So that's how you kind of want to balance your lineup, so you can take that and look at your starting lineup, your best lineup, because again, the other team you're looking at, you know, for some people that's a really, really good lineup, but if you have a little bit better team, some team like mine, you want to look at your team and not be too starter heavy, and you want to balance up your height. You want to remember height. Remember, height is a big factor in 2K. It always will be. It always has been. For 2K, is height, right? You cannot have Donovan Mitchell and Isaiah Thomas, and you want to balance that out. So let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.